welcome to Landscape Photography World, a podcast for everyone passionate about landscape photography. I'm Grant Swinburne and I'll be your host on this show, talking to landscape photographers about their motivations, likes and dislikes. Leighton Compton, a skilled carpet layer turned passionate landscape photographer, shares his evolving creative journey with a strong focus on drone and astrophotography. He opens up about his initial hesitation towards drone use, eventually embracing the medium through experimentation with intentional movement and light painting techniques. Leighton breaks down the detailed planning behind many of his images, discussing the technical challenges of editing and printing and how those hurdles have shaped his artistic growth. Beyond technique, he reflects on photography's role in his life as a therapeutic outlet, offering calm and purpose amid life's demands. With a grounded perspective, Leighton also speaks about the pressures of staying relevant in an increasingly competitive field and how he navigates creative self-doubt. His admiration for fellow photographers and emphasis on crafting unique compositions underscore his commitment to the art form. Whether capturing starscapes or aerial views, Leighton brings both curiosity and clarity to each frame, demonstrating that even the most advanced tools are only as powerful as the intention behind them. I hope you enjoyed the show. Hey Leighton, welcome to Landscape Photography World. How are you going?
I'm better now that I'm speaking to you, Grant.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very pleased to have you. It's great to put a face to the name and the pictures, the images. Love some of your drone work and some of your astro stuff. It is top notch, and I want to talk to you about why you do what you do.
Yeah, this is it. Yep, astro and the drone. I've been doing a lot of that lately. Yeah, so I'll be getting into that. Seem to be because you've got a drone yourself, haven't you? Now,
recently, yeah, I don't know why I was anti them, because the experience I'd had with them made me feel like I was disconnected from the taking of the picture a little bit. But now I've actually got one myself and played around with it a bit more. A couple of people I had a chat to convinced me to go and buy one, and so it's only a Mini 3. I thought I'd start at the discount end and work my way up if I fancy going big at some point. But it does the job, and I can make pictures with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the drones. I was reluctant to, like you, a little bit reluctant for a while. I think they were starting to come in quite strong. In 2019, 2020, they were coming in quite strong. People were taking it up, but I never did. I sat back for a year and was like, okay, I'm happy with the camera, but what is this? What is this drone thing going on?
Yeah.
And then started seeing the photos and some of the inspiration from, especially on Instagram and Facebook or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. So the drone really, that's when I thought, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I reckon I can get some images. So. Yeah, I bite the bullet and go and bought one. But in doing that, probably like yourself, you realize when you get it up in the air and the fact that you can move it around to any point in the sky and get different compositions, because I'm huge on composition, everything. So with the drone, I was just like, I'm in heaven. The drone's up in the heavens, in the clouds. I'm in heaven. And mate, and I thought it was actually quite easy. I'm like, oh, this is great.
Yeah. I certainly found it easy. Depending on what I'm doing, I've been doing a little bit of experimentation with IDM, intentional drone movement. So actually doing longish exposure. Unfortunately, with the Mini 3, the biggest I can get is about 2 seconds, I think, in the firmware that's there. So it's enough for some kind of ICM/IDM sort of photography, but it won't let me take a minute or I love the bulb mode on my Canons that let me sit there for 7-8 minutes before sunrise, taking those sorts of shots that just make everything nice and creamy and dreamy.
Yeah, the camera is pretty excels at that.
Yeah.
And you can sit back with a coffee while it's doing it, and then you get a little reward at the end.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, wow, look at that. The drone blows you away that it can actually do 2 to 3 seconds in the air.
Yeah.
With the air. And that just blows your mind.
The ability to hover. I mean, you're going to watch the wind conditions, of course.
Yeah. But it is amazing.
Particularly with the little one.
The little one, your little Mini, that's pushing it. 2 seconds is really good.
Yeah.
So I recently got the Air 3S.
Nice.
Previously, I had the Air 2S, which is a great drone. but I had it for a couple of years, and I mean, I had a little bit of a hard life because I pushed them to the limits. But the Air 3, yeah, I can get 3 to 4 seconds.
Nice. Okay.
The Air 3S, let's say 3 comfortably, but with no wind, absolutely no wind, you can just get 4, which is, let's say 3 max, really, for a drone.
Funnily enough, with the intentional movement stuff, it was unintentional movement that sort of made me start to pick up on that, where I think I was doing about a quarter of a second shot, and my thumb actually slipped and bumped the joystick. Okay. So the drone moved, and it wasn't until I got home and I saw the result of it, and I thought, oh, okay, I know what happened there because I remember the thumb slipping. And then I thought, oh, this could be something, I don't know. So I've tried it with horizontal zoom, vertical zoom, spinning. Because you've got lots of axes to play with, and just absolutely enjoying experimenting with it.
Oh, good on you.
Speaking of experimentation, I've seen some of your light painting exercises with the drone, and I'd like to tell me a little bit about how that came about and what inspired you to get into that, and how that's sort of developing in terms of the body of work that you're building around that.
Yeah, there was a natural progression because I used to do a lot of city, going back to the camera thing slightly, with in regarding to the drone light painting, used to do a lot of city work. When I was young, when I started off 6 years ago in photography, the city stuff, I learned so much because you got to be quick. You got to learn your camera. You got to know how that tool works. And then it's obviously so many methods that you can get. You can doing long exposures, short long exposures, and all this, and the lighting. And landscape photography was my first. I got into that first, and then the city. But you never lose the landscape, because the landscape, to me, anyway, that's another subject. We can go into that later. But with the drone, from the city work and doing all those long exposures and short long exposures, it was a natural progression for me to get I got creative doing that. So the drone, a tool to me, and I'm like, what can I do with this drone? And you're going, oh, ICM. Okay, cool. Maybe, and then I'm thinking, oh, I'll do light painting with the drone. And obviously seeing that people do that on Instagram. There's one photographer, Manny, his name is Reith or something I'd have to look at it on Instagram.
I know his name,
yeah, he does all the painting with the drone. He's like the best guy on there really that does it. I was so inspired by seeing his shots. I was like, okay, cool, I can do this.
Yeah.
I thought I can do it without buying those little lights that they put on the drone. I'll just use the one on the bottom of the drone itself.
Okay,
yeah. So I tape up the little LED lights on the side. So
flashing.
Yeah, so you tape it up, and it's a stealth drone basically. It's like Night Rider. Nice. And the night flyer, you might, because you're only flying it, say, not very far anyway. So you fly at night, but you're not flying around the neighborhood.
No, and you're in a localized area.
And I'm away from people, and all that kind of stuff, exactly. So you're going not far, and you can control the drone, but it's stealth. You can't even, without the light on, you can't see the drone or that
I'm interested at night. How do you manage seeing where you're going with the drone and not hitting antennas and trees? And
that's right. Obviously, the main thing is being there in the daytime and just in the afternoon or whatever, to make sure that you know what height you can be at, and also do a little test flight too. Some of those doing rings and spirals above buildings, or let's say the tree. You want to go up and do a little test flight in the afternoon just to check how high that the trees are around and all that, just to make sure you're not going to hit them.
Yeah.
So I do a little dummy flight in the daytime because it's a little bit easier. And then in the nighttime, the drone's obviously got a map on the left-hand side of the bottom of the drone, see where it is. And with the Air 3S, it's even got a little, comes up on the screen. If you just turn your camera around and you'll see a little yellow H that's showing you where home is.
Home is nice.
Whereas the older drone didn't have that. So you couldn't tell where, unless you looked at the map where you were, you couldn't tell what direction. But the problem with the direction, you don't know what direction you're in.
Yeah.
You're facing, if you're looking at the drone with the light on, you press forward and it will go the opposite direction because you can't really see it.
That's right. Yeah.
You have to rely on the maps and you just get used to it. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's not.
I don't really have any lights or native lights other than the navigation lights on the front of the the Mini 3. And so I haven't actually experimented with any of that. I'd probably be thinking about upgrading before I do that, just so that A, there's some native light on it, and B,
that's right.
got a little bit more practice under my belt with the small one before I move up.
Definitely, especially at night time, you need that light. You need
absolutely
100%. I wouldn't fly it without the little light because
and I don't know that strapping a loom cube to it's going to cut the mustard. I don't know how it'd fly with that actually.
Probably be surprised actually. Probably be doing.
It's probably powerful enough to deal with it.
It's a little drone though, isn't it?
Yeah, the battery depends on how hard I'm pushing it, but I can get up to about 45, 50 minutes on the high capacity battery.
That's amazing.
Which is not too bad, but normal flying with pushing it a bit, it's probably more 35, 40 minutes, if that.
Yeah, that sounds about realistic, doesn't it? Sounds realistic. Yeah, so I just started getting creative with the drone.
Oh.
And just perfecting. Didn't take long to perfect those circles and that. And getting low with the camera helps with the light on the bottom of the drone. Getting lower so if the building's slightly higher or the tree's higher than you are from the camera point, that's a good thing. Obviously, if you're higher then you're doing a circle that the drone's down below, then that's not going to work because the lights, you're not going to see the light going round and round.
How do you manage dealing with two cameras at the same time or two?
I do it by myself most of the time.
Yeah.
And you
struggle dealing with one thing at a time.
We're typical males. We can't multitask at all.
Really not.
It's all the female viewers, listeners. They will probably vouch for that. But look, when it comes to the camera thing, I'm actually, funny enough, I can actually multitask. So yeah, I've got a little box remote trigger.
Yeah.
Put on and with the remote and then the trigger onto the Sony camera. And then I can just push a button on the camera, have the camera all set up, fly the drone. And then I'm actually just flying the drone, push the button on the camera, 5-second delay, and then do the circles. Normally it's around about 20-second exposure, depending on what I'm doing.
Sure.
And then, so it's all timing, getting that timing right. But with that remote trigger, I can concentrate on the drone.
Yeah.
And obviously then you're checking the camera to make sure it's going to work and then just keep doing it until I get it right. Yeah.
How much practice do you think you've actually had to get to the point where you are now?
Not that much practice. I've been doing it for a few years. So yes, it is quite a bit of practice. But no, I didn't go out and just practice how they're doing it. I went out there and did it.
Yeah, just started trying it. Yeah.
Got shots. It didn't take, you only did maybe 10 shots and then you got to figure it out. You've got 10 on when you're on site and you're doing, say 10 goes and then you're like, oh, I'm starting to get what I wanted to see now. And like photography, you'll give it a good crack for a while. And it's always those last few shots that are actually really good.
Yeah, the ones that end up working because you kind of nutted out how to make this work.
Yeah. You might have the readjusted comp or something, but those last ones generally are better, right? Yeah. And it's like that with photography too. Right? So it's all photography.
Absolutely. Do you remember the first time you took a landscape photo that really made you feel this is it? This is something that I want to be passionate about?
Yeah. Yep. I did actually. I saw a friend of mine was into mobile photography and not a little bit as in I was interested in the phone cameras.
Yeah.
Phones were coming out and I bought a Google Pixel when they first came. And they had a really good camera on it. So I always loved doing that. But I never really got into photography that much. And then I almost woke up. It was like November 2018. And I woke up and I was like, I'm going to get into photography.
Okay.
I woke up and I'm going to get into photography. So I sat down on YouTube and learned how to use a camera properly. So I thought if I'm going to get a camera, I've got to know how to use it and do it properly. So I sat down on YouTube for about a month without a camera, and I just played on my phone. Because the phone, I could adjust the ISO and all that kind of thing. And I just learned what ISO was all about and shutter speed.
All the principles are basically the same, regardless of the camera that you've got.
Yes. But you have to learn and get your head around it. It takes a while.
Absolutely. Yeah. Understanding the exposure triangle and the impacts each corner of that triangle have on the images is vital.
Absolutely. So what's the point of buying a camera if you're not going to be able to understand that?
Absolutely.
You just spend money and you're not going to know how to use it. And that's what a lot of people make that mistake.
I know a lot of people do the other way around.
Yeah. They go buy a camera, I'm going to get into Discovery. And then they go, oh, I don't know how to use this. And they've got no patience.
And they end up sitting in a cupboard for years. Yeah.
Right. So good old YouTube, Dr. YouTube, just sit down and learn. And I went and bought a camera and just went straight. And then once I got the camera, I was like straight into practicing. And then you're still getting your head around it. And within 3 months, I was like away. I was just away. I went to New Zealand after 6 months and got amazing shot.
Yeah, nice.
Those month or so learning was vital. Yeah. What was the question?
I can't remember. No, what was the first landscape photo you took? You said, okay, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah. So going back to the phone thing, just before I got into photography, a friend of mine got an amazing shot from his house down near your way? Anyway, Sydney, suburb of Sydney. He was living right near the ocean.
Nice.
Amazing property. And he got an amazing shot. He's not really a photographer so as much, but on it, he had a little Sony point and shoot. And this is probably 9 years ago or something, like 8-9 years ago or something. And he got a shot of the dolphins, a surfer surfing, and the dolphins jumped right in front of him.
Nice.
But it was like an amazing photo. And he was there at the right time and he got it. And I was inspired by that. And I guess that got me into mobile photography, and then eventually just went straight into the camera photography. When I bought that camera, it was Christmas time. I bought myself the little Canon camera, M50 crop sensor mirrorless.
Yeah.
That was a great little camera, flippy screen. It was so good. And I went straight down to Byron Bay, and we had Christmas at Byron Bay, and I took this really cool sunrise photo. And the bird, it was a typical landscape shot with the bird going through the frame.
Yeah.
And it was just a really nice shot. And then I looked at it, looking back now, I said, oh, it was actually quite a good composition. I got low and all that kind of stuff, and it looked quite good. Yeah, I took that shot and I thought, you know what? I think I've got something here.
Cool.
That's a special shot because that was one of the first shot I ever took with the camera. And
Wow.
It worked in manual mode and the proper photographer photo where it's in manual mode and your first shots. So yeah, that was to keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say, I remember the first time you flip it off auto and you start to mess around with manual modes and changing all of your settings so that you're starting to understand where you get to. And that first one that you do get where you go, yep, everything worked.
Yes.
I applied everything that I'd learned, and I applied the rules of composition or whatever you want to call them. And you've actually ended up with something that actually you go, yep, I'm satisfied with that. It doesn't look too bad. It's a nice feeling.
It is a good feeling. It's a big achievement. We should really pat ourselves on the back for that because it takes a lot of learning to get to that stage without failing and going, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do photography. It's too hard.
Yeah.
You've broken through that barrier, haven't you?
Yeah. I think I got to say it's one thing, and I mean, I've been doing this for quite some time, but one thing I did a little bit different to what I normally do when I was in Vietnam was using wide open apertures a lot. So either I've got an f4 lens and a f2.8, and for I'd say most of the trip I didn't take that f2.8 off for daytime shots. Plenty of light, but yeah, it was really nice. So working with the depth of field changes and just manually focusing, manually doing everything else around the ISO and setting the ISO to where you needed to be to get the light right and everything. It was just a lot of fun and something that I don't normally do. Normally I might set it on aperture mode just to make it easy for myself so I don't have to sit there and do maths in my head.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's a little bit of a cheat, slight little cheat.
Yeah. Like what that modes are for though. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's manual-ish.
Manual light.
Made sense. And all the pros use aperture priority.
Yeah.
Because this makes sense.
Yeah.
The one thing you don't have to worry about doing.
That's right. Yeah. I use shutter priority a bit for real fast action shots. If you're doing surf photography and whatever, nothing beats using time mode and leave the ISO on auto.
Yep.
And let the camera sort that out so you're not having to constantly try and adjust it because that don't work.
Especially if you're moving around a lot, you get to
and autofocus. Yeah, that makes a big difference on that.
Yeah, that's when you need.
Going full manual focus and full control, manual control of the camera.
Oh, because you did say manual focus before, and then I thought, don't mean manual, just using all manual, but not the focus. But you actually are.
No, I was manually focusing mainly for depth of field reason.
Yeah,
and it was a little bit different. It is a little bit different when you're doing longer exposures, but when you're doing, say, street photography and whatever, then I think manual works depending on the subject. If the subject's still manual works fine. If the subject's moving and there's a lot of action, then, I'll leave it to auto because the camera's going to focus usually far better than I can.
That's right. Yeah. But it's not hard to do the manual focus, just a little bit more time.
Yeah. It just take, if the subject ain't moving, just a little bit of a tweak and you're there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it just adds a little bit of character to the photos too, because you might get something, but surprise, you're like, I focused on that, but it actually works, or yeah. So no, good on you, trying different things.
Oh, just part of the game, isn't it?
You've got to keep, we try different things. We've got so many things in photography you can do.
Absolutely.
Techniques and like we're talking about. So.
Yeah. One of the things that sort of struck me in the conversation so far, Leighton, is you sound like a person who plans their shots fairly meticulously. Is that true, or are you more organic in the way that you set up?
I don't plan anything, mate. I just take it on a whim.
Fair enough.
No, that's not true.
You're doing astro and you're doing drone light painting. That doesn't sound like walk up and off it goes and, this will work.
No, I wasn't managed to get the Milky Way with perfect conditions.
Exactly, yeah.
I'd be lying if I said it was not planned. But it's nice to go out sometimes when you think that it might be good light, and sometimes you don't care too much whether you come away with anything or not, or the light's not that great, because there's that element of surprise, and you might be like, oh wow, I think I had it, because maybe it's just a low key shoot. It's not a fully planned one or anything, and it's not too far from home. So you're like, I'll just see how I go, and you can get some bangers on that. But like as we get older in photography, more experienced in photography, we don't have to always come home with shots. No, it's more fun being out. Like we all say, it's fun being out there and just being a part of it and getting outside and just getting away from the city or whatever.
So what does the planning process look like?
Plan process involves a lot of apps. It involves Google Maps and sometimes Google Earth. But yeah, the apps that we have on our phones are just amazing. Some of the trail apps, All Trails, they've got some great little topo information. Obviously, hiking to certain areas, that's a good app to have. The weather apps, Windy.
Yeah.
It was another cloud one that we all sort of use. Can't remember the name of that.
Clear Skies or something like that.
Yeah, something. That's the one. Yeah. So the apps, the weather is very important to me, especially landscape photography and planning some of those shoots, astrophotography, that's all weather-based.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a meteorologist. You learn so much about the weather, and I've always been fascinated with the weather, but now I'm just bloody mental about it.
If you are going to be a serious astrophotographer, you have to be obsessed with it.
You do. And I don't like to waste my time, and I trust my gut instinct, and I trust myself and my process. And thinking about the weather, most of it's pretty logical with the wind and the clouds and everything, and you got your gut feeling where it's going to be good. So I generally will just keep an eye on the weather. I won't go shooting unless I know that there's a high chance that it's going to be pretty good. Then I'm not going to be too disappointed if it doesn't end up being like that, because that's the weather.
Yep.
But 9 times out of 10, to be honest, I'm on a win. Just because of that planning and looking for the right conditions and looking at what Windy, looking at the BOM website and all those three together and coming to some sort of picture of the weather. There's a 90% chance it's going to be pretty good. And let's say it's for an astro shoot, obviously you want clear skies or minimal cloud, and obviously a little bit less wind and stuff like that. Yeah. With the drone light painting too, that's got to be, the wind is a big factor.
Yeah, the fact that you go there during the day as well and turn up and practice runs tells me you're a planner.
Yeah. That's what the planning involves, and a lot of that.
Fair enough.
A lot of that. But I think most of us do that anyway.
Yeah, at some level, sometimes I might just get up and go, I'm up early and I'm just going to pick up the camera and go and see what happens. And sometimes it's the blue sky day and sometimes you sit there and you look at clear skies and it goes, it's going to be 60% cloud, high cloud tomorrow. All right, I'll get up for sunrise for that. And you turn out and it's 60% over in the west and nothing over in the east, or 60% from the horizon to about 20,000 feet, and then nothing on the top. And so the sun comes up and you don't see it. And it's...
Oh, yeah. And honestly,
And I've got up early. I've gone to the beach. I've enjoyed my morning, and then I go and have breakfast.
you have a great day. It's not all about getting
That's
bang every single time.
That's exactly right. And some of the nicer shots have been when the weather hasn't been that great as well.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, I love extreme weather. I'm all about the extreme weather. Fog, love fog. Anything extreme, I'll go out and get. So even in the rain, the poor camera of mine's been abused. It's been in the rain doing city work as well. I used to go out in the rain all the time, and that camera, God, I just get flogged.
Yeah,
Loves it. It just loves it. But yeah, now I'm a bit more protective of it because on the Sony, it's got a hot shoe, and if the hot shoe water gets in that electronic shutter, it starts to play up a little bit.
yeah,
And mine has started to do that, but I've been cleaning it out with some pure alcohols, saturating the camera with alcohol on the top there, and then getting the hairdryer and drying it out. And it seems to be quite fine now.
well, that's good.
But it's working. I think over the years, all the water's got into it.
I've got a little hot shoe cover on mine, and to be honest, I don't think I've ever pulled it off.
Oh, yeah. I think I went out one night and the hot shoe cover was off, and water got in, and I was like, oh no. But yeah, don't take it off. Don't take it off.
Do you have, other than the plans that you make for individual shots, do you have goals for your photography in general?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Who knows what the future's going to hold, but I'm hoping that I will be able to do photography as like 3 to 4 times a week, something like that, and then I'm a tradesman, so I'm a floor layer by trade, so I can do that. I'll be half and half. So yeah, that's what I want to do as I get older. When I get into my late 50s or something, I'd like to be just transitioning into more photography. But I'm not in a rush at any point now. And I've been doing a little bit of work here and there, but I've been pushing it back because I'm so busy being a tradesman, laying floors, being a flooring contractor. I make good money, reasonable money doing that.
It's hard to make reasonable money out of photography, I can assure you.
I can make more money in an hour doing laying flooring than I can doing photography. And to me, it's easier work doing that than photography it's so much processing. It's a longer time to get that money, whereas I can be in and out laying flooring. You're done for the day and you got whatever. Yeah. So when I get up, as I get up into my late 50s, I'll transition more into photography. But the good thing is you don't have to rush into it. And you build up a clientele too. That's what I'm doing. I'm building up a portfolio, I suppose you can call it. And then you get your sort of name out there. And hopefully if my name gets out there enough, I can be able to get work easier later on in life. That's my philosophy.
It can work if you push hard enough.
That's the thing, eh?
That's it. And then I think I don't want to sound like you've got to be pushy all the time for everything that you do. But if you're not going to push both yourself, but also yourself on to others so that they know about you. Yeah. If you, am I correct? You own your own floor laying business?
That's correct. Yeah.
You will know from building up the clientele there. You can't do it unless people know you're there.
No one's going to come knocking on your door.
You might get the odd call off the tradie app that's somebody trying to get some work. Hey, actually, that's a thought. Maybe I'll start a tradie app for photographers. I think they already exist, Freelancer and those sorts of things.
Actually, they do with my job. They knock on my door. I don't have to go. But that's different trades. That's what it is, isn't it? If you want a plumber to come around, you call him.
That's it.
Or her. Same with flooring, obviously. If you want your floors laid or something, carpet done or whatever, then you're going to call them. So people do call me. I don't have to try too hard. But with the photography, it's the complete opposite. You've got to say, hey, I'm a photographer. Here's my work. You hire me because you've got a lot of competition where there's not a lot of people on their knees laying flooring. It's too hard.
I can't. But I've got buggered knees.
Don't talk to me about knees, mate. I can imagine. But yeah, when you saw it, just thinking about it, actually.
What do you hope people feel or take away from your work and when they look at your images?
To be inspired to be a better photographer to go out and enjoy photography. I'm inspired by when I look at people's work that I think that are better than me. I'm just like, wow. And it makes me want to go out and shoot. I'm so happy when someone is succeeding in photography and is really good and not the opposite of being jealous or anything like that. Oh, no way. You should never be jealous. You should be really happy for that person that they're doing so well. And that's inspiring. Makes you want to go out and recreate that, something similar.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And be as good as you can and get up to that standard. I just love that. Love seeing, that's where social media is great for me. I love looking at all those good shots. Because I'm like, oh, wow, all that location. What an amazing location. I could do something there. And it makes you start thinking and processing and thinking, planning a trip that you could go there or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I love looking at a scene, particularly some of the wider landscape shots, and looking in at some of the details and saying, okay, if I stood over there a little bit, I reckon I could get something that's a bit unique in that same spot, even if it is a honeypot spot.
Yeah, that's a challenge. That's the challenge.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as you gain experience, I think that's one of the things that you do start to do is go, okay, I've seen that place before, but I'm going to go there, whether it's on an overseas trip or a honeypot place at home or nearby home. And you can go in and go, okay, how do I make this a bit different? Every time I go to the city and try and shoot Sydney, I'm trying to do something different, because the shots of the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge are a dime a dozen. But if you can get it from a unique angle that nobody's shot before, you can go, oh, that's a bit different. I haven't seen that angle before.
Yeah. That's exciting. That's
absolutely.
That's what
that's the way inspiration works, I think, is you've got to go to those well-trodden places as well as unique places, because going to a unique place that nobody's ever been, they're hard to find in the world, but you can still find the odd one, and you can get something that is unique. But I think the real skill for people is when they can actually make something unique in a honeypot location.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm all for that, mate. I'm so into that. I love that. Even if it's as simple as getting lower in the ground or using the foreground in a different composition, can be all it takes.
Yeah, reflections. There's all sorts of.
Yeah, like actually, last year I went to an autumn road trip down into Armidale and Uralla and all around there. So I went to that Goswick Church, and it was in the perfect time. It was the first week of May, and the leaves were all red around the church on the vine, and it was just perfect. And all the oak trees were falling, and it was amazing. I was hoping for fog, but it didn't work. But I sent the drone. I went there in the dark at about 4:00 in the morning or something, and I sent it a little halo around the church.
Yeah.
Cool shit. But when the sun broke, I was out there and I got, because we had rain a couple of days before, there was some puddles around. And I got this really cool shot of 16mm wide angle of the reflection. And there was like the autumn leaves in the puddle as well. So you got the leaves and then the water and the reflection and the church. It's really cool gothic. And I do the gothic-y vibe on the edit, and it looked really sick. Everybody was like, what the hell? I've never seen anything like that from that church.
Yeah.
Just a click.
It's basically the standard 3/4 shot. There's the facade, there's the side, there's the vine around it, there's the trees behind it. Happy days. It's a lovely shot. But
it's just little things like that, honeypot location. Everybody's been there.
Yeah, nice.
Australia, and I went there again this year. Same thing. Same time. I went there last week. Did a road trip down to New South Wales, and I got heaps of astro, and it was an amazing trip. But awesome. I went down there because Uralla, the little township, is just a beautiful little town.
Yeah,
full of photography heaven there. Even the town, the old buildings are amazing. You can take a film camera there and just go wild. I did go to that church because it was meant to be foggy, and I'm going to go out there again, and it was foggy.
Nice.
I was droning, did some good videos with the drone, and there was a couple of photographers there, and then I went, okay, guys, catch you later. It was still foggy. The sun hadn't broken, and I thought I'm going to try and go down the road further because I got this really cool shot over the bridge. You know the bridge there?
Yeah.
There's a tree that's centered right on the bridge, at the end of the bridge. And the sky was just beautiful. The sunrise was coming in the fog. So I had the 10-second timer and run in and got a frame standing in the middle of the bridge.
Fantastic.
They're all looking at me like, what the hell? Because they're all down at the church there. And I'm like, how you going, guys? Anyway, then in the van, I went down the shingle road, down the gravel road, and went for ages. Ended up going down a side little road through some paddocks. It was an actual road, but it looked like you go through someone's farm. And I just got the most amazing sunrise with the fog and the gum trees. Like it's a really Australian looking shot. But I never would have got that shot if I didn't go driving around down there. But then I got that shot, flew the drone, and then went back to the church and got some amazing shots.
Fantastic.
So that area is so hard. It was worth it. But again, like we said, it's a pretty well-known location. And to get different shots and or videos out of it was good.
Magic. How do you define success in your photography? Is it simply that joy of getting something that's a bit unique and something that's a bit different?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just that challenge of thinking up a new technique or a composition or what can I do with that scene. I think you're exactly right. Yeah, I'm driven by that.
Nice. And what keeps you motivated? What are the things that you do when motivation might be a little bit lacking and you don't want to go out and take photos? What are you doing to get yourself out of a rut? So,
yeah, if you're in that mindset, which happens to all of us, yeah, then I won't do photography. I'll do something like different. Yeah, I'll do something different. And then soon enough, you come around again and you get motivated. But I have actually, there's been a couple of times, I've actually struggled with that a little bit over the last maybe 2 years. I've had more times where I haven't been very motivated. Maybe it's just things going on in life, maybe a little bit of that. But I don't know. It happened a little bit over the last couple of years. But there was one time I thought I actually pushed myself. I'm going to go away. I'm going to do a road trip because I like to do little road trips in my van and go camping and go exploring. So,
nice.
Like a little Dora Explorer going out, having a look in the wild world, out in the world. Yes. So I'd actually push myself to go out and do photography, even though I wasn't feeling like it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got in the van and I arrived at Stanthorpe out in Queensland here in the hill, I was like, oh, I'm away from the city. I've got 2 weeks on my own in photography. And all of a sudden, I was like, I wasn't that motivated still. I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. But I just started during that day. And then by the time the next day came, I was like, I'm into it. I'm back again.
Fair enough.
All I needed to do was get away from the mundane or whatever and just push myself to go on a little holiday. Yeah. Just to start back up again. Just change what you're doing.
Yeah, change is almost as good as a holiday.
But I didn't actually force myself to do photography. Self in the situation where I'm going, okay, I'm concentrating on photography because I haven't been into it the last couple of months, but now I'm gonna do it. And it snapped me back into it real quick. Yeah. But it made me realize how much I do really enjoy exploring and trying to find awesome locations and getting cool shots by jumping in the van and going for a road trip.
Yeah, yeah. Do you find it relaxing or is it something that can sometimes be stressful?
Yeah, it's a good question actually, because it's relaxing. But yeah, because I do a lot of freedom camping. Everything's based around photography and the weather. So stressing out during the day, I'm not stressing out, but trying to find out where I'm going to be sleeping for the night. But where do I want to shoot for the either sunset or is it astro or is it sunrise? And where do I want to be at what time? And can I camp and all that? So you're focusing a lot during the day of driving to the location. Do I have to drive 3 hours to get there or whatever?
Sure.
There's a lot of planning going on those trips. And I guess they can be stressful because you're going on time. I'm going to get there in time. I'm going to get that campsite. I'm going to have dinner and then I'm going to go to bed at 8 o'clock and I'm going to wake up at 4. And then
sounds stressful.
But in the element though, I love it. And then you had no sleep. You've had 5 hours sleep because like the last trip I did 2 weeks ago, I went away for 2 weeks and just came back 2 weeks ago. But I did the same thing. I had no sleep. We did astro and then I was up for sunrise, astro till 12, like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and then up at 5 o'clock because you're in the van. So you wake up at sunrise and I was like, oh, I'll do a sunrise. But then that afternoon, you're just so tired.
Yeah. You can sleep during the day.
Yeah, that's what I did. A bit of a nana nap. And then
nothing wrong with that.
Early night that night or whatever. And then you're back and doing it again, do another astro thing.
I'm much the same. We go away in the motorhome and about 2 in the afternoon, if I've got up at 4, 2 in the afternoon's about that time where I'm just starting to flag and lean back or go in the van and lie in the bed and off to sleep for an hour or 2 and wake up refreshed and ready to go for the sunset then.
Exactly. That's great. How good is the van though, just being able to park?
Oh, absolutely.
And the best thing about that too, if you don't like the location that you're parked at, you can move. You just drive. You just go on Wikicamps and you go, oh, we'll just go somewhere else.
Absolutely. And there's some real gem locations. National parks have some really good spots that are right on the beach. Gillard's down the south coast, for example, the national parks campsite there. It's a bit of a bumpy road to get down there, but it's not too bad. And it's about 4 k's of dirt, but you're right on the beach. So you don't have to get up at 4 a.m. You can get up at 4:35 and still be there an hour before sunrise.
Yeah, that's the thing. I love those ones on the beach. They are amazing. And the fact that you can just roll out of bed, you're half asleep and you just go down to the beach or whatever, or you go, that's amazing. Love the beach.
And the great part is if you want to dump your gear when you finish and then go for a swim, the beach right there, it's absolutely takes away a lot of the stress for me.
You're already on site. That's the best thing.
Right.
You drive to that where you want to shoot. That's the whole. You drive to where you want to shoot. You stay the night in your vehicle, and you are there in the morning.
Yeah.
Sunrise. You don't have to drive there. You don't have to do anything. You just, like you said, roll out of bed, and mate, that is priceless. That.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few places up the coast like that as well. Crescent Head, there's a couple of places up near there. But I've stayed down the coast from Crescent Head. So you go through Crescent Head and back down the coast road there through Delicate Nobby and the campsites in around there.
Yeah,
and
that's go too.
Yeah, the best part about some of those is you go out there at 5:30 in the morning and there's literally nobody else there.
Yeah.
Not even another photographer, which for me here in Sydney and you in Brisbane, that's gold, isn't it?
It is exactly. Actually, on that location is really good. That Crescent, love around there. But same thing. I go into and you turn right and you go down. Yeah, from Crescent Head, and there's all those campsites. I know I always stay around there. Yeah. Beautiful. That's a beautiful part of the world around there.
Nothing wrong with Crescent Head and
not at all.
Caravan park there.
Yeah.
And you've got that's where you go if you want to shoot the cave around on the head.
Yeah. On that cave. Yeah, you've got to make sure it's low tide.
Oh yeah.
Going to low tide, not coming in high tide.
Coming in. You don't want to be there for an hour inside there when the tide's on its way in. Unless you get there right on low, you might get about half an hour if you're lucky, depending on the tide.
Anyone that's been there can relate because that's very dangerous. When you're in that hole, back in that cave, you feel very vulnerable too, and the rocks are crazy.
And you hear all the waves echoing around your head and everything, and it's just
bats been there at night doing astro, and the bats are going around your head. And you're like, it's a funny place. It's a funny place, but can be very dangerous.
It's sketchy, particularly at night.
Actually, the last time I went there, I did astro. It was like this time last year. I went there and stayed there, and I was doing astro there. And I had because you turn your headlight off and on.
Yep.
Then I saw some people were flashing on the top of the hill. They were flashing lights.
Oh, out to sea.
To sea, and I was thinking, and it was ruining my shots. And I was getting really pissed off. Anyway, I had to call it quits because they would just keep on doing it.
Yeah.
I went back up, and they said, "Oh, we thought someone was in trouble." While we were flashing the lights because we thought someone
could see the lights.
Yeah, because they didn't understand why someone was down there with a light, like doing SOS. Me doing SOS. No, they're just doing it because I'm doing astrophotography, blah, blah, blah. And I said, mate, you ruined my shots. And I said, but thank you for caring because if I was in trouble, then you guys would have come down.
That's it. Yeah. You really want those sorts of people to be around.
So my advice is anyone going down there at night time is to tell, I don't know, whoever's around, don't worry. I might see a bit of a light going, I'm not in trouble, I'm okay. Yeah.
So speaking of sketchy experiences, have you ever had any?
Plenty of little sketchy ones, hiking in the dark. But a recent one was 2 weeks ago down in the Warrumbungle National Park.
Oh, yeah.
Camping down there for 3 nights, doing astro and all that. And I planned to go around to the bread knife, to shoot bread knife with the astro rising in the east.
Okay. Yeah.
I had the exact location of where I needed to be, and the hike was about 6K in, 6K out. And to do that, I had to leave. I had to leave at 1:30. So I got up there about 3:30, 4 o'clock. It's a couple of hours.
Yeah. So it's not a flat hike either.
No, it's not too bad. But there's a lot of stairs and it goes up and up.
It's not too bad down the lower part, but once you get up near the bread knife, that's when it's like, more stairs? How many more stairs?
Yes, how many more stairs? My knees are going to be sore on the way down. So I found this awesome big rock outcrop and I had to bush bash through. I spent probably an hour and a half trying to find the right location because it was quite and I managed to go through all this bush and bush bash up to these big rocks. And I got up there and I was like, wow, 360-degree views. Yeah. And the perfect astro composition, exactly what I wanted. So that was me. I was parked up on the rock for the night and I was going to walk back down to the van and thinking I'd be back there about 1:30 in the morning. So I stayed up on that rock, I was up there all afternoon, got sunset, astro. But while I was up there, it was about 9:30 at night. And there was signs there was signs down in the campground saying they've got 1080 poison there for the dingoes and wild dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, cool, okay. There's feral goats and stuff up there, so you see all the goats.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm down this 9:30 night. I'm on the rock by myself, and I hear this goat go. And it was quite funny, and it was just like it felt like a baby goat, and I was like, oh yeah. And then he made out another little cry, and I just had a chuckle. But then I heard the growls of the dogs, and the dogs just attacked the goat.
Oh, you're joking.
It's like the valley below the rocks.
Yeah.
And the sound coming from that was very disturbing.
I can imagine.
It was so loud because there's no other sounds apart from that. And the goat just got ripped to shreds and blah, blah, blah. I won't go into the gory details. It was a bit confronting, and I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Sound like
Probably lucky you weren't the goat.
That's right. And I thought, well, maybe I should be all right. They're walking back down because I've already had a feed. They're feeding on me, and I'm pretty skinny, and you're not going to get much off me. But it was a bit scary walking down by yourself. There's kangaroo bounce in front of me, and I gave me the shit. I was like, and they
won't move until you're about a metre or two away from.
It's just like the car. It's just exactly like a car.
Right.
Oh. Yeah, but yeah, it was a bit freaky.
They're in the bush. You don't see them until they bounce out into the track in front of you either. I've had that experience several times, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, it scares the crap out.
Yeah, they're crazy things, aren't they? It's very Australian. It's very unique to have that big rat jump in front. But yeah, that was pretty freaky, I must admit. When you're there by yourself and you're in that situation, it was pretty like, oh, wow, okay, there's definitely wild dogs. And it's only you. So I had my phone speaker on and in my pocket. So it sounded like there were other voices, and I thought they might scare them. And I had my hiking poles, and I was just clanging those. Just help look appear bigger than what you are. And that's all you can really do. But it was fun. That was my latest moment of, oh, wow, that's a bit much.
How do you think landscape photography has helped shape you or grow or change as a person?
Yeah, it's made me more aware of, well, number one, the weather. Obviously getting into that more. It's just, it clears the mind. You're getting out there and just letting the mundane life that we all live, the day-to-day stuff, and let it all go when you get to do landscape photography. So that's what it's made me it always cleans my mind and gets me back to being latent, just being clear-headed and being on the ball. When I come back, you feel refreshed and you're good to go.
Awesome.
So that's what shapes me, keeps me being the person that I am.
Yeah, that's nice. Do you think where you live has influenced how you shoot?
Yeah, it does. Your surroundings always do, definitely. Absolutely, 100%. If you're in the city, you're going to be shooting the city. If you're in a country outback town, you're going to be doing outback town stuff. So,
yeah,
we're such adaptable creatures, and we will change in our environment, which is why we all most of us love traveling. We want to go somewhere.
You mentioned being alone. Is that your natural state in terms of photography, or do you prefer to shoot with other people occasionally?
Oh, no, I love shooting with other people, definitely. Yeah. It just seems to be, over the last couple of years, been doing a lot of alone shoots. I think because I've planned, and not everybody can just do what I do and just jump in the van and go out for 2 weeks or 3 weeks on a road trip and get shots. And because the shots I want to get involve maybe being a little bit risky, being out at night by yourself in some weird spot. So that and also I don't really want someone in the van doing that, and I don't want to ruin their holiday or whatever like that. You got to be on the same mindset, both of you.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's great when I have with friends and other photographers, and we're going to go create. That's what I like to do. If I want to go out with someone, we're going to create something together because we're better than just one person.
Yeah.
We're both photographers, and we can actually create something magical by using each other's skills. And obviously you've got a model as well. So
that's right. You don't have to run into the shot yourself with the time rod.
The way you're in. That's where that having remote shutter is really good, because you can just
absolutely
nearly 100 meters away and just go click.
My remote shutter's my phone, and I've always got it on me, so it's really easy. But and the other thing is you can stick that in your pocket and still hit the shutter button without making it look like you're holding something, hitting the shutter.
That's right. You can just go click. That's the good thing about it. That one, the range on those isn't that good though. It's only 20 meters or 30 meters.
It's Bluetooth range. So about 20, 30 meters. You go outside of that and you're in trouble. So.
Yeah. Because I did use the phone one for a while, and because if you're standing on a rock way out somewhere further, that's where you need the one that's hooked into the camera.
Yeah.
It goes on the radio signal or something,
Yeah.
or Wi-Fi or something like that.
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, yeah. So it's got a range of 100 meters, which is perfect for my kind of stuff because you could be standing way out there on a rock or whatever, flying the drone above you, like that. Yeah. Yeah, I love doing photography around the people, definitely. But it depends on, again, your surroundings and what are you going to go shoot.
Yeah.
You're going to go to the city and do city work. It's nice to go with someone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, every shoot's different, hey? And sometimes you want to be alone, and other times you're quite happy to go with someone else. This side of it's really good too, which just brings us all together. And that's where those tours and photography groups are really good for people. Number one, for mental health. It's huge. It really is. And we all like to be connected. And photography is a really good way to bring people together.
Awesome. If you could retire at one of the places you've shot, which one would it be?
Why did you have to ask such a difficult question?
That's my job.
You had plenty of time to think about that one, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a New Zealand boy, so I'm always drawn to your home place. So yeah, South Island, New Zealand is pretty special to me. Yeah, there's a lot of great places to shoot there, but I really couldn't answer that. There's so many cool spots to retire, but actually, it wouldn't be in the tropics. It wouldn't be in Queensland.
Yeah,
up in the top, because I find there's lack of. For me, I'm not really inspired to go out in the tropics. I've been up there and I've done some great shoots with the coconut trees and all that, and it's really cool. If you lived there, what I mean is if I lived there full time, I'll get bored very quickly. Don't have those change of seasons, and you don't get that
crystal clear aqua water and palm trees and the white sand. Yeah.
Like Australia is very limited because they need those clear skies. There's humidity up there's too much.
Yeah,
that's hazy. So you lose that astro photography is gone a little bit.
Yeah.
And you do get fog. So you do get fog because it gets all humid and that. You'd be okay, but it's not as much fun as when you're in the cooler climates where you get those changeable weather conditions.
Yeah.
Like for me, it would have to be somewhere down south more.
Fair enough.
Even though I like the warm. It's nice. Brisbane's got great climate and all the rest of it. Yeah, I couldn't do that. But it's cold enough to have the change of seasons and you get the weather conditions. So that's good. Yeah.
What's the place that keeps calling you back? The one that you either have unfinished business with or that you just love going because it's great to do?
That'll be the South Island.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, there's a few places I want to go back to and spend more time. I've been there probably I'm from the North Island, so I know a lot about the North Island. Only recently last year did a shoot around like 2.5 to 3 weeks on a road trip around the North Island. And it was actually quite good, but to me, it's nothing compared to the South Island. Though. The South Island's got heaps of cool stuff in there. So I think I would like to go back there, and I've got unfinished business. There's some spots that I want to spend at least 4 or 5 days solid shooting because just to get the right weather conditions. Because New Zealand's very changeable with its weather. So you've got to wait it out. You can't just go to the South Island and spend 1 week and expect to get good photos because you might get there and you're going to have 6 days of rain, shitty, windy conditions or whatever. But I have that at least 2 weeks to wait for the weather to clear, which does pretty quickly. But what happens if you don't? It doesn't clear.
Yeah.
So you've got to allow that time. I think that's a big thing that people miss is that they don't allow themselves enough time. They're like, go on a big schedule and it's, just allow yourself that couple more days or whatever. And just to give you, because the weather, it will stuff you up as a landscape photographer over there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned doing some workshops and tours and things. Have you thought about doing any of those yourself anytime?
I haven't actually, no, but a few friends have said, you should do it. And I'm like, yeah. Just because I'm so busy with my day job, I
get it.
This stage of life, I haven't got time to focus on that. But definitely not ruling it out. It would be awesome to do that maybe in a different stage of life, maybe a little bit later on when I've got more time or whatever. If I'm going to be focusing on photography business-wise more, then yes, I would look at doing workshops.
Yeah,
and I've got a couple of ideas about that. It might be a little bit different for workshops too, on the mill stuff. So
don't tell them here, everyone will steal them.
Exactly, they will. Yeah, I'm not saying anything, but I have some ideas about that.
Awesome. Have you been on a tour or a workshop that's really resonated with you and struck you as one that's a little bit unique or different?
No, I haven't been on any tours.
Okay.
Haven't been on any of those. No. I've just been wanting to do it on my own. I got more control.
Yeah, fair enough.
at this stage of my photography, I like to have more control of where I want to be and what time and all that kind of thing. Yeah. But though there's nothing wrong with those photography tours at all. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
For me, it would have to be a pretty extreme photography one that's maybe is in the mountains, camping in the mountains for 3 or 4 days solid. I would go on a workshop like that. Maybe a one-on-one. We might obviously cost a lot more money, but that's
definitely.
Yeah, that's what I would love to do right now would be to go to Patagonia and do a 7-day extreme photography one-on-one tour or something like that.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Yeah.
Where you're going to those places where he or she goes.
Yeah.
And hardly anyone's been and all that kind of stuff. That's what I'd pay money for to go to do. Yeah. Yeah. It inspires me to go to get, because I know that we're gonna get some awesome locations. And then again, you're up to the weather gods to whether you're gonna get reasonable shots. But even if it's shitty weather, you're in an amazing location, you're gonna get good shots.
Absolutely.
Always have to be perfect sunrises and perfect sunsets or whatever. It could be pissing down and stormy. That'll be amazing too. You get lightning or whatever. Who knows?
Sure.
Oh, if there's any extreme weather, I'm there. Just bring on anything extreme.
Sounds great. When you get back from the shoot, are you straight into your processing, or do you leave it for a while to get into?
I do leave it for a little while. I generally obviously back up pretty much that night or the next day.
Sure.
And just dump the files into Lightroom. Very rarely will I actually sit there and edit a photo straight away. If it's I've done a little drone video or something like that, a drone video is easy, upload it onto the phone, give it a little edit on the app and post it onto an Instagram story or whatever. Or even some phone photos, I'll quickly edit up and put them on the story, because the Instagram stories are great for things like that when you're traveling and you can hang up a couple of easy photos just like that. But obviously the really important photos, or the banger ones, if you want to call it that, those ones, then I will sit on those until I get back home and I've got it on the big screen on the bigger monitor and everything. And then you've actually digested the trip and you relax and you can look at it with a clear mind and a clear head. Just go through the photos and process them too. And obviously some of them require, I do a lot of focus stacking and that if it needs to be, you might have to blend, stack the sky. So that, especially with those shots, you need to spend the time on it too.
If you're doing a full arch pano of the sky and that sort of thing, you've got to know where you start and where you end it.
Yeah, that's right. That's a big one where you got to process. Takes a bit longer, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Very rarely will I come home and just smash out at some edits and bang them up. Very rarely, no. I'll sit them in. I've got so many photos, good ones on the computer, obviously, that I haven't edited and haven't posted. And you say, oh, I'll do that, but you never do.
Yeah, I've got probably about, I don't know. I honestly don't know how many, but way too many panos that I've taken. And I know where they start and I know where they end, but then you've just got to... The thing I really don't like about panos is the time it actually takes to stitch them together, particularly when you've got something like 15, 24 shots or something in a pano, and it's just tedious waiting for Photoshop to finish its job. Go and make a cuppa, come back and you finish. No.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's too hard.
Yeah.
It's in the too hard basket and you just say that.
Yeah.
That's actually quite disappointing when Photoshop or something doesn't align it properly and you're just like, oh, bugger.
I found the manual align works reasonably well sometimes. You've got to play around a bit with it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it helps you out of a bind where Photoshop's struggling, but it's when it starts putting weird bends in the landscape because it's interpreting things not quite right.
That's right.
You've got to have a couple of goes at it.
Yeah, you've got to have a couple of goes at it. Yeah, so you can get you can lose interest in that photo pretty quickly. Yeah,
it sometimes takes more time than it's worth.
But this also makes you realize how many shots you got to take to be safe with panos.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
good that you don't you overlap a lot, and you're like you only use maybe 20%, because you don't want to get home and it not work. Hey,
no, absolutely not. It's one place where I use the rule of thirds grid on the camera. I turn it on those, and that way, I know what I've
quarter or
third. Doesn't matter which one, as long as you've got a nice location. That bit on the right hand side of the screen is going to be that bit on the left hand side of the screen at the next turn of the camera.
That's right. And you got to allow enough on the edges too.
It's
around because You really takes a little bit of trial and error, a bit of learning to do panos.
Yeah.
Shoot more than you need because
Absolutely.
it does not work. If the computer says no, and you're like, oh,
Yeah, it can be disappointing.
But sometimes editing can be but I get a bit frustrated with editing because it takes, if you're a perfectionist, it can take quite a while when you get too fussy. And I myself and go, come on, it's just a photo. It's just a photo. It's just a photo. If it's a special photo that it takes time and to process.
They're all our little babies.
Oh, our little babies. But yeah, sometimes I get a bit like, oh God, 2 hours, I've only done half of them.
What's your average edit session look like for one image?
Yeah, probably a couple of hours.
Okay.
A couple of hours, easy. Even for just an average photo.
Yeah.
But also, like, I'm not going to post anything that I don't like, so I'm going to spend a bit of time on it. But easily 2 hours, because I look at the clock. I come home from work at maybe it's 2:30 in the afternoon. I won't be finished till 4:30. Even then, I'll just sit on it and I'll wait. Tomorrow I'll have clean eyes and I'll look at my phone during the day and I'll go, oh, that needs to be changed. That needs to be changed. And then I'll spend another hour again the next day. Messing around, getting it right. And then I'm like, okay, and I'm happy with it now. And then I'll post it.
Yeah, I'm fairly particular about which ones I take that kind of time on. If I know I've been lucky enough to have a couple of client commissions, so if it's something that's going to be printed large and all the rest of that, then I could be spending anything up to about 15 hours on the one shot to make it perfect, get the colours right, get the toning so that when I send it to the printer, and even then there might still be some back and forth with the printer to get it just right for the client. But if it's just for Instagram, if I know I'm not going to do anything other than post it on Instagram, Facebook and that, then I won't spend much more than about 20 minutes.
Yeah, good on you. That's true.
It's just, I just don't see the point.
No. And that's where I've come up to too, because social media, I think we've all gone off it a little bit.
I have posted a few times when I first got back from Vietnam, probably for about a week or two. But the past 2 or 3 weeks, I have posted twice, I think. And yeah, I'm not missing it. I'm not looking at it a lot other than, I'm obviously doing the podcast promotional things, but yeah, I'm not spending a lot of time on social media right now because it's just, I just find it a bit time consuming and patience sapping. It just doesn't make me feel good. So if it's not making me feel good, don't do it.
Feel good. And it's a funny place. It's gone all weird.
Yeah.
It's got old. That's my interpretation of it. It's got old because it's been around too long. It's gone stupid.
Got MySpace vibes.
It really has us on that old chestnut again. But going back to the photos, that's why I won't waste that time on a photo, like 3 hours on a photo, because I'm going to most likely I'll print.
Yeah.
It'll be a portfolio shot. So that's where I've come to. For me, most of the time I'm just posting stuff that I would print.
Yeah.
In the time. Otherwise, yeah, you're right. 20 minutes, you can bang it up and it'll just be a quick.
Good enough.
Normally really good because you just give them a quick go and they actually look really amazing. Most people like those ones more than the other one.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, the printing side of it. Wow. Recently I did a big print of a Milky Way shot and the night photos to print are really hard to get right because
you're going to get that black tone.
Dark photo. When you print it, it becomes really dark. So you've got to somehow bring the exposure up without making it look like a day photo.
Yeah.
So it's really, and you've got to get your blacks right. It's huge. And
the blacks, the browns, and in the Milky Way, and the yellows, I always struggle with prints.
Yeah. Yes.
You've really got to play around with those colors and tones just to make it look like it looks on the screen. Yeah.
Right. That's exactly it. And it's frustrating. And you've got to download the right profiles. Like I've been downloading the profiles into Lightroom or Photoshop or whatever.
Yep.
And editing it with the screen brightness down to 0 and then making test prints there and going through all that just to get it right. And you go through 3 or 4 test prints just to get that right.
Yep.
Then you're happy. You're like, okay, I've got it it's perfect now. We can print it on that medium, like a metal print. You do it for that metal print or you do it for that gloss paper print. That's fine. But yeah, if you want to do it for a canvas, then you've got to re-edit the whole thing all over. It's a nightmare. Yeah. So printing is full on.
It's a dark art in and of itself.
People, can I get a print of that? And I'm like, oh no, do I have to go through this again?
Yeah.
If it's, I keep saying to people, oh, just get a daytime shot because it's easier to print then. So it's easy. You can just don't clip the blacks, don't clip the highlights and print it and bring up the exposure and you're probably good to go for a print on paper. But the night photos, oh no, don't you want a night photo to print? Oh, of course you do.
I got to say the sunrise shots and sunset shots sometimes can be a bit of a challenge in the shadows as well.
Oh yeah, true.
It's easier than night, but it still can be a bit of a tedious. I've got to tweak this, I've got to tweak that, and
it
looks absolute on your screen.
Oh, it does.
But when you actually print it, you go, oh, yeah, that worked.
Yeah, it's so much different, the different mediums, the different papers or whatever. It's huge difference. Yeah. But you've got to be careful with the banding in sunrise and the color banding of the sky. Basically, you can't really push the colors in the sky too much, otherwise you're going to get a lot of banding.
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways of managing that. One is depends on how much texture there is in the sky, but if it's a fairly steady gradient that you want and there's almost no cloud in the sky, which sometimes that's what you get, you can actually just take down all of the clarity and texture and everything in Lightroom before you start processing. But you've got to start in Lightroom knowing that's how it's going to end up when you go to print. Yeah.
Yes, I'm with you there. That's a good look. Anyone that doesn't know is take out the texture and the clarity out of the sky and you're good to go.
That's right. You just have to mask the sky, bring them down to almost zero. They don't always have to go to zero, but
it also makes the sky soft and it makes it all nice and dreamy too.
That's right.
An Orton effect.
Almost, yeah. I've used the Orton effect occasionally when I've forgotten to do the processing in Lightroom and I don't want to go back. I've just spent 3 hours doing this shot in Photoshop and gone, oh, bugger, that's looking a bit crunchy. Orton effect, that'll fix it. Mask the sky, Orton effect.
Now look at it, it's beautiful. Yeah. Have you got a preset for the Orton effect?
I do, yes. I use a panel which has a number of different ways of doing it. So you can do a cool Orton, which puts a blue filter on, a warm Orton, which puts an orange filter on. There's plain Orton, then there's a black and white Orton. There's a whole range of things, and they're just one button pushes, which makes life very easy. So you just go click, bang.
The TK panel?
No, I'm using, what's it called? It's disappeared out of my head. I can't remember the name of it. Raya Pro, that's it.
Okay.
There was Jimmy McIntyre built it quite a while ago. He's kept it reasonably up to date, though. I'm starting to look for a new one because it's now, to be honest, some of what's in there is starting to get a little bit superseded by some of the things that are coming into Lightroom, Adobe Camera Raw, etc.
Yeah.
Because some of those things you can actually get similar effects. But the main reason I use that panel or any other panel that's out there for that sort of thing is actually luminosity masking for doing exposure blending mostly. Yeah, I don't use too many, to be honest, I don't normally use too many filters. It's only when I've screwed up something at the beginning and I've gone, well, this work. I'll have a look. Did that work? No. Okay. Back to the beginning. Or, oh yeah, that's enough. That's good enough. Done.
It's only going on Instagram. It'll be all right.
Well, that depends on what the audience is. If it is for a print or a piece of work for a client, then yeah, it's back to the start and do it properly because that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, you wouldn't use an Orton effect and then print it. It might come up weird.
You'd be surprised.
Be careful. Oh, yeah, I'd just be a bit scared to do that.
It can work.
And making sure that that Orton effect works on that print. That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Print the hell out of it.
Yeah, it does depend on what it is. And the beauty of using masks as well makes it a lot easier because you don't apply the Orton effect to textural areas that you want to. You want a bit of crispness in the edges and crispness in the textures of, say, rocks or trees or water or something. Then don't touch it with Orton unless that's the dreamy look that you want to go for all over, in which case, yeah, go fill your boots.
You just want to highlights, we're going in the shadows.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's more where there's gradients that you want to be careful of. So it's usually, for me, if I use it at all, it's usually in a sky that as I say, that I forgot to get onto with the texture and clarity sliders early on.
Oops, forgot that one. Oops, Daisy. Yeah, Lightroom's amazing how it's come. I use Lightroom 90% of the time and then just go into Photoshop to do those final touches, or if you need to blend something, or maybe an Orton effect, or normally I give a bit of a pop in Photoshop just for this, my finishing. I just bring it into Photoshop and give it a pop, and then we're good to go.
Yeah.
And Lightroom's got so good now.
It has. And the new masks, have you seen that?
Yeah, I use it. The minute it updated, I was like, boom. Oh, how good is this? It does the sky and then the foreground.
Yeah, if it's got a mountain in it, it'll even tag it. This is mountains. This is free.
Water. Oh, yeah, thanks. I'll do the water. I'll do the mountain. How good is this? It's Photoshop for dummies.
Exactly.
We are the dummies. But you know what? I'm happy to be a dummy because it works so well.
That's right. I workflow shorter.
Yeah. There's little tricks too with that. Doing those masks, Lightroom. A lot of people are not really aware that when you do, say you go in there and you mask out the sky, you actually go subtract sky again, and then it makes a little copy of the foreground in like the trees or something in the
It gets
sky.
rid of halo edges and that sort of thing.
Yeah, invert it, and then it'll go right back to the sky without the tree in there perfectly almost. So that's a little trick. Yeah, a lot of people don't do. Sky.
Still struggle with hair and fur though.
Yep, you zoom in and it's getting better and better though.
Better, but it's a lot better than it used to be, but it's still struggle. I guess there's got to be limits when a hair might only be 2 pixels wide or 1.5 pixels wide. Is that background or is that I get it?
Rush out and you're in there at 200% going, oh, you got it. I got that little bit. That's just perfectionist going on there. Right?
Yeah, it also harkens. I used to do game screenshot editing. And the whole goal in that was you would take a screenshot in a game and then make it look like a photo.
Oh, wow.
And so this was how I cut my teeth. I learned a hell of a lot about Photoshop and how it worked. And one of the things that you have noticed, particularly when I was doing it back in the mid-noughties, 2005, 6, 7, graphics back then in games, you ended up with these, what we call jaggies along edges, because if there was a diagonal edge, it had to step it. Now, with dithering and everything and graphic technology now, that's a lot less, but it still exists because each pixel is actually a little square. Yes, so on these diagonal edges, I'd be sitting there smoothing.
Oh, wow.
Line by line. So, yes, that's why when I got into masking and whatever, it was like, okay, this is like this, and when you're doing hair and trees on horizons and that sort of thing and getting those little fine details.
200%.
Again, I don't always do it. If it's just an Instagram one, who cares?
No one
if it's for a print and I know it's being blown up, then I want to make sure there are no halos, there's no little artifacts. And I will even delete a tree or two if I have to, just to make my life easy.
Because you can, right?
Yes, you can.
That's what today's technology is really good in that respect.
Absolutely.
Have these tools, and Lightroom's actually making it a lot easier for us to do these things where even 5 years ago, it would have taken you ages to mask out the sky.
Oh, yeah. Before TK panel and iPro and all those things, the manual process of creating a luminosity mask, who has the time for it?
Well, nobody. That's what you did if you wanted to get it done.
That's right.
Yeah, you just go click, click, and she's good to go.
That's it.
No, it is.
What's the best and or worst advice anyone's ever given you?
Best or the worst advice that anyone has given me? I think the worst would be what you gave me tonight. Nothing. And the best too. Actually, sorry, Grant. I know the best. You gave advice being on this podcast. I'd probably have to think about that one a little bit longer because,
that's all right.
Too sure about that. Yeah, everything comes and goes for a reason. People say things for a reason. Yeah,
absolutely. What's the biggest challenge facing photographers right now?
Biggest challenge is the competition between each other. Maybe not I think that's definitely a problem. There's a lot of competition.
There is a lot of competition.
To stand out as a photographer.
Yeah. If you're talking about being seen in the torrent of images,
you've got to.
Then I get what you mean. But initially, I took it to mean the attitudes of various photographers. Now, I'm not saying there aren't photographers out there that are a bit competitive. My experience anyway has been very cooperative. A lot of people are more than happy to share location details or how-tos on various things without any real bother.
No, that's fine. Yeah. I'm probably talking work-wise. What you mean? Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Well, what I meant by that, the competition was work-wise. Like there's a lot of photographers, and in order to get work, you're competing against a lot of people doing the same thing. So the price-wise, and that's from the other point is money.
Yeah.
You can make some good money, especially in videography these days, because there's more comment. That's what people want.
Absolutely.
Photography is a lot harder. If you're going to be just a photographer, it's going to be a lot harder.
Particularly a landscape photographer too.
There's certain people like William Patino, and there's certain Patino people that are succeeding in that and doing workshops and all that. That's fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But not everybody is going to do that and succeed. Like
No, that's it.
They've made, and they've worked really hard. They've got a name for themselves, and they've done it for years. So good on them. But yeah, I think it's going to be harder and harder as the technology gets better and better, just to be just a photographer and to make good money. I think that's a hard thing photographers are going to struggle with.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you can't be raw talent,
no.
If you're good at photography, you're going to do well. But you're standing out of the crowd, and you're real, and you're not a robot. You're not AI. You're doing a natural image. You're making art.
Yeah.
Then you will succeed. But if you're just going to be a clicker and just click the photos and all that and expect to make money, no, you're not going to go anywhere. You got to, like we said before, you got to put the work in.
Absolutely.
You've got to have the talent too. I think if you've got the talent and you know that, and people are telling you, "Wow, you're good," then go for it.
Definitely.
But it's going to be a hard road, and you're not going to make a huge amount of money initially, eh?
No.
I think that's a big bit of a struggle as things go on for photographers. Yeah, a couple of points there.
What do you reckon the future of photography holds?
Yeah, it's still going to be there. You can't beat the raw. Like I said before, you can't beat the raw, the power, a personal touch to an image and capturing that moment. You can't. You type it into AI and it pops out that same image. Everybody knows it's fake.
Yeah,
it's never going to be the same. You can't beat the human eye.
No, definitely not.
Just the human touch. A robot can't get that. They'll try, and maybe in 50 years' time, it'll be pretty close. The human touch will always win.
I think you're right.
I think photography will just keep going like it has and evolve. And yeah, it won't change. It hasn't actually changed in that respect. Talent always wins over technology. They were worried about digital, weren't they, from film? It's turning. We're turning digital. It's going to be so fake.
And then video came out, and then there was 3D photography, and
people start saying, "Oh my god, I'm going to lose my job."
Yeah,
but no, same thing. It'll just evolve. Everything evolves.
That's right.
Great. You just got to go with the times. You try and learn and evolve with. It's harder as we get older, though, to keep up with it. But the 20-year-olds, they're like, "Oh, we got this."
Yeah, this old dinosaur is evolving very slowly, I can assure you.
This old T-Rex.
Anyway, we should think about wrapping up shortly. I've got 2 more questions for you. Are there any photographers out there that you think should be on the podcast?
There is. I've got a couple.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I'm not sure. You got 4 people that I reckon you could possibly have a good time with.
Sounds good.
I talk to.
I like to have a good time when I'm talking to them.
Yeah, Ty Share Photography.
Okay.
Ty Shares Photography. I will send you those after.
Yeah, no worries.
Those, but so you got Ty Shares Photography. Ty is a TY. He's an amazing artist. He does a little bit of everything, but good at landscape. But he's creative, even on AI. He's making AI pictures as well.
Yep.
And AI movements like photography.
Yep.
Images and videos. It's really weird. Not weird. It's weird because it's so different, quite different.
Oh, yeah.
But he takes beautiful landscape shots and silhouette city shots. And he's very talented. Love his work. And he's a really nice guy. He lives in Perth. There's another guy, Piratescapes.
Yeah, I've actually asked him, and he's being reticent, but I'm going to chase him again.
I reckon I'm going to push the issue too, actually. Hey, come on, get on there. Because he's really talented, eh?
Absolutely. I love his work. Yeah.
And he's similar to me. He'll go to the extreme to get the shots and all that. Yep. So he's pretty good. I think there's like two young guys that I reckon having a young, like 20-year-old, couple of 20-year-olds, Prue Scanlon. He lives in the Rainbow Beach up near Noosa, up past Noosa there.
Yep.
He's now road tripping. He's in Tasmania and he'll be there for 4 months living in his van.
Yeah.
Only about 20.
Okay.
And he's a naturalist. So he only gets nature photos.
Yep.
But he's hiking up the mountains. Like right now, he's in the snowstorm in Tassie and I watched his story and he's hiking through to the top of the mountain. And he's like, oh, no, I had to turn around because it was too dangerous and I was going to fall through possibly in the snowpack.
Yep.
Our snow didn't know what was underneath. So he's turned around to go back down. And he'll be there for 4 months living in his van through the winter in his van. Only a young guy, and he's obviously like a computer, something to do with a computer coder or something.
Yeah.
Not too sure 100%, but something like that because he's working from his van. So he's a great guy to talk to, full-on, purebred landscape photographer.
And
also another guy, Tom Ray, he's a New Zealand astrophotographer.
I've seen Tom's work, yeah. I haven't spoken to him yet.
But he'd be another one. He'd be a really good guy to get on there too. Another young guy. He's only 20.
Yeah.
He was 18, 2 years ago. So 20.
Awesome.
And he's so talented. And because he's young, I just think he'd be just really fresh mind. Good to chat to on a podcast.
Awesome. Thank you. The final question, I think.
No, I don't.
What that is. You don't know what the final
I'm joking. Yeah. Do I like pineapples on pizza?
Yeah.
Do I like pineapples on pizza? Pineapple on pizza. If it was there, I would eat it. If it's not, I'd rather it not be. But if it's there, it makes it, sometimes if it's not cooked enough, it can make it all wet.
Oh, yeah. No,
it makes it too sweet. You've got to cook it out fast. And
just empty the can on top of the pizza.
Sometimes that's what they do. And you're like,
you strain the juice because the juice itself from pineapple, it's chunks of pineapple, tastes fantastic. I love that juice straight out of the can.
Oh, that's the best bit.
I just pour it straight into a glass, hold the lid over the top of the can. You have to top the top, pour the juice in the glass like that.
Maybe that's the question. It should be, do you drink the juice out of the can?
I know there are people that can't drink pineapple juice or can't eat pineapple because of the enzymes that are in it, and it has some kind of bad effect on them. But it's a bit like a gluten intolerance, but it's a pineapple intolerance. It's rarer.
It's most, but
Yeah.
Definitely see how something like that would happen because it's quite a strong.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, particularly when it's been in the tin for a while. Yeah.
Oh, but that's the best though, isn't it? Drinking the
Absolutely.
but on pizza, yeah. Look, I'll take it, but if I'd rather it not be there.
Fair enough. And if anybody hasn't caught up, last week was my 200th episode, and I announced the results of the poll at 200. So you're number 201. So it's another one in the maybe column.
There we go. Look at that. Congratulations too.
Cheers. Thank you. It's been fantastic talking to you, Leighton. I know you've got a couple of places that people can find your work.
Yeah.
Let us know what they are.
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's Leighton, Leighton, J. Compton on Instagram. So Leighton J. Compton. And on Facebook, because it's exactly the same name, Leighton J. Compton.
Perfect. All
So
right.
that's on private account on Facebook, but just hit me up and we'll become friends.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for doing this. It's been absolutely wonderful, and I've thoroughly enjoyed having a chat with you and meeting you for the first time, not quite face to face, but pretty much.
It's been an awful time, Grant. I'd never want to do it again.
Okay, fantastic. Get off.
But thanks very much, mate. I appreciate your time.
Cheers. Thank you. Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography World. Pardon me. Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography World. I hope you enjoyed the show, and keep listening because I'll be joined by some great guests in upcoming episodes. You can find my work in this podcast on grantswinburnphotography.com. I'm also on Vero, Photo, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Grant Swinburne. Hope to see you out shooting soon.